Good day. It is Bank Holiday Monday. May not be Bank Holiday Monday in the UK when you watch this, of course, if you're watching on YouTube. But if you're watching on Planet Vegetarian, then it's likely to be. I didn't realise it was Bank Holiday. I woke up this morning and I said to Richard, "Oh, didn't you put the alarm on? You didn't set an alarm." And he didn't say anything. So for the next few hours, I went about my business, sort of expecting to get a few calls from clients or emails, things like that. And nothing came through. I was editing my A Week at the Plot for last week, the full week, which comes out today on YouTube. And it was only halfway through that Richard said to me, "Do you want some toast?" And as soon as he said that, I realised it was Bank Holiday Monday. So anyway, I finished editing that, come down here today and it's a bits and pieces type of day today. So far, I have harvested courgettes, which is great. I've put chicken manure pellets over some of the beds that need a boost in nutrients. I've harvested some beans. I've decanted a new bag of chicken manure pellets into our chicken manure pellet bin. I've watered the polytunnel. So yeah, and I've moved a turnip toad had decided to go into the beans where I wanted to just put some chicken manure pellets down. So I moved turnip toad back from the beans into our turnips. So hopefully he or she will be happy there. Oh, what was that? A bee. What else? Oh yes, and yesterday I ordered our Shakespeare onions. We're going back to planting. Wasn't sure whether that might have been a hornet, little hornet. We're going back to planting our onion set in the autumn to overwinter. So I ordered those. We're doing Shakespeare again, which I think the name Shakespeare is changing to Autumn Champion. So if you're looking for Shakespeare onions, they may be called Autumn Champion now. And also I received a parcel, which is our garlic, or some of the garlic that we're growing. Now, Greta, she grows Porcelain Music Garlic, and I decided that I wanted to grow those as well. I can't pick it up. So we've got a number of garlic cloves. We've got 50 cloves of garlic, varying sizes, but all good sizes, all at least my thumbnail, which I'm really pleased about. Some, like that one, sort of considerably bigger. So I'm really pleased that those have arrived. They were in this cardboard box, but they were in a plastic bag inside that cardboard box to stop them rumbling around and breaking and bruising, in fact. So I've taken them out of that plastic bag because you want them to breathe. So when you get your onion sets, they're usually in a net bag. But if they or your garlic are in plastic bags, which sometimes they are, particularly with garlic that comes as cloves, make sure you don't keep them in there because they will sweat. So keep them in a cool, dry place until you want to plant them. In our case, that is going to be when we take the beans out, which will be at some time around mid to end of September, which actually is only 2 to 4 weeks away at the moment. So today is the last day of August. So yeah, that's today. There's a few bees about. There's one really, really sleepy bee on a cosmos that I've been watching for about 2 hours now. It hasn't moved off the cosmos, though it has been sort of moving in the cosmos flower, but not moved off the flower. I'm going to be back this afternoon. Oh, I got a frog in my throat. Obviously, picking up that toad has given me a frog in the throat. Back this afternoon, I'm going to be harvesting some tomatoes, quite a few of our tomatoes. I think this tomato bed near the shed here is... I think that's basically got another week or 2 weeks. We do have blight further down on our site. So the fact that these are all coming to fruition now is actually a good thing because we don't want them to be bitten by blight. So yeah, that's it. I will see you again tomorrow. What will I be doing tomorrow? I've got weeding to do. I may be weeding tomorrow, or I may be doing something else. Who knows? We'll see tomorrow. Okay, have a good bank holiday Monday if you're in the UK, and have a good week, everybody, wherever you are. Bye. Good day. Look at the glorious sunshine coming through these leaves. It is a lovely day today. There's quite a lot of cloud, but it is very nice. It's the 1st of September, and meteorologically, that's the first day of autumn. So today is the first day of autumn. And I have to say, it sort of feels like it. However, I've been checking out these carrots at the end, which are ready to harvest now, which is absolutely great. And also we have parsnips, which are a couple of months off harvesting. But if I come back, this is our turnip bed. I think you can see in there. Let's just pull that. Decent turnips. That one's been split. Look, there's a worm. Oh, let's pull that one out in a minute, but we're going to have those this evening. And then coming along, we've got beetroot. But one thing I am noticing, this bed is so dry again. After all of that rain that we had, it needs a really good water. Look at this sunflower. It really wants to hold on to life. Look at all those tiny buds coming. It'll be interesting to see how they do. And a gigantes bean climbing through it as well. Our gigantes continue to be glorious in their beauty and disappointing in their harvest for this year. But that's fine. You know, these things happen, as we say. When the world gives you nice turnips, don't be too anxious about your gigantes. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye. Good day. This is the recycling container that we are going to be using for a below ground pond. These are no longer used by Ealing Council. We have big wheelie bins now for our recycling. So this is a recycled recycling bin. So it's a recycling project effectively. We've had this in this area for a couple of weeks and have lived with it. It's moved a couple of inches that way and a couple of inches that way. And we're now sort of quite happy with its position. It gives space to work around this area for this bed and go behind the artichoke there, or cardoon as that one is. And it also gives space, excuse my shadow, that our plot neighbours who are there with their chickens are not going to fall into the pond when they open the door of the chicken run, which is just here. So yeah, we've decided that that's where that's going to go. Sorry about my shadow. Let me come around here. So that is going to be a sunken wildlife pond. And you may remember that we've put it here because we had a frog living in this skanky water down here. He keeps on coming and going, but He's definitely still around, or she. So the other pond is this barrel. We got this free on Free Cycle a few years ago, and I've been wondering what to do with it. And when we received that liner a few weeks back, that pond liner, I decided it's the perfect thing to do as an above ground pond, an above ground wildlife pond. So thank you to whoever sent that pond liner again. We still don't know who it was. I'm going to line this barrel, and it will be maybe here or maybe just a few inches further forward, and will be another wildlife pond. Over there we have a bamboo, which another plot holder gave us a couple of years ago. And I quite like the idea of this and this together. Maybe it could go down here, the bamboo, or on the other side there. Yeah. And then, as you already know, I think this is where we hope to put the rhubarb in, have a flower border along the front, and then have perennial kale in this area. But this area will need to be dug because of the amount of weed, bindweed in particular, under this cover. A number of people have asked why we didn't put our tomatoes directly in the ground this year. And this is the reason. Bindweed. This whole tomato bed, which is, I think, about 7 meters by 2 meters, is bindweed ridden. We've kept on top of most of this bindweed throughout the summer, but in the last few weeks, maybe the last 3 weeks, with the rain and the heat, it's really got going. So as most of these tomatoes are going to be coming out in the next few weeks, I'm just leaving it. I will be pulling some of it, but it all needs a really good dig once all of these tomatoes and tomato bags have been removed. In the meantime, of course, there's more harvesting to do. Another thing I'm really pleased about this year, and I'll leave you with that, is this Comfrey. You may remember we put this in about 2.5, 3 months ago, and we've had 3 pickings from it so far, and this is its 4th picking, or it's about to be its 4th picking. And most of this is going to go into this compost bin as an activator, and we will turn everything that's in there. So yeah, I'm so pleased we have this Comfrey. And we also have another root, which I think we're going to put in at the front. Again, that's going to be a winter job. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye. Good day. What a difference a day makes. Oh, cabbage white butterfly there. Very grey day today. I think it's going to rain later as well. I think that's forecast. You can see the tomatoes are thinning out at the moment because there's a lot of harvesting going on, a lot of roasting. But yeah, very different day today. So yeah, a grey day, and I must say, not quite sure why, but I'm feeling in a bit of a grey mood today. No reason, I think it's just the end of summer. We're now in autumn. We're feeling for the first time in September a cold September day, or a cool September day. Look, I'm still in my t-shirt. I'm not cold, but that temperature dip is there. However, it still feels quite humid, so it can't be that cold. But yeah, just feeling a bit today. no, no particular reason. But one thing that did give me some joy is I got this fantastic parcel from Tracey and a lovely card. Sorry, lovely card too. Look, it's an Abel and Cole card. Rather pretty, I thought. And she has sent us, thank you very much, Tracey, some sage plants and packaged really well. I mean, really secure. I think all of this is sort of recycled as well. It's a recycled Amazon box, a recycled, looks like a mushroom container or something. And it's great. What I said earlier in the year is that we don't have any sage plants and I needed to get some sage plants. And Tracey said, oh, I've got some coming on that I've taken from cutting, so I'll send you some. And a couple of months later, she has done. A couple of months because they needed to grow from her cuttings. And so well packaged. Here they are. 3 lovely, healthy sage plants. Look at those. Absolutely glorious. A nice little root systems in there as well. Oh, everything's blowing away with the wind, so I hope you can hear me. But yeah, Tracey, thank you very much. The first thing I'm going to do now is obviously pot those on, and I'm sure they will do extraordinarily well. And one other thing, which I'm sure wasn't on Tracey's mind, but is a big bonus, is this plastic tray. Now, I'm not sure. I think no, it's a plastic tray, but what is brilliant about it is I can use it in my little rack behind me here. You see, all of these are open to the wind and the rain, but the rain just drains through. Let me go over there. Let me show you what I'm talking about. These are sedum cuttings I took last year. And as you can see, there's no base to the shelves. So what happens is when you water, the water runs through. So what I have been looking for is the right size containers. There's a plastic container here that I can put pots into. And what I've realised is not only is this green, but it fits perfectly in there. So I will be able to pop some pots in there and give them a real good watering. So that's great. Added bonus from Tracey. Look at these beauties. They go pinky red at this time of year. Just glorious. Anyway, I will leave you with this little strawberry that still says it's summer. Bye. Good day. Blustery day, as you can possibly hear. I'm at the apple tree, and I have to say it's again looking a bit forlorn. I'm not sure if you can tell, but there we call this level here the parakeet line, because parakeets eat all the fruit above but not this below. They'll eat up to, or they'll eat from head height and beyond. Let's just go in and I can show you what they do. Where am I? Can you see that? That's got wasps on it. they peck into the apple, eat some of it, and then the wasps come along and flies, and they feast on what remains. But I have to say, this apple tree, it really suffered in this summer's heat. I was watering it regularly, but it really did suffer. And the fruit, yeah, I mean, it's feeding the parakeets and other wildlife, so that's good. There was a squirrel on there the other day having a go at an apple. Some of these apples I think we will be able to take off and use to make applesauce, which I'm definitely going to do this year. I haven't done it in previous years. But you can see how seasons and our environment changes things, because this tree was so full of blossom and so full of fruit back in June. And then we had such a prolonged spell of dry weather that the roots just couldn't pick up moisture and the tree suffered. Yeah. Anyway, it's staying. It's going to have another prune this January or February. And fingers crossed for next year. Seem to be saying that all the time at the moment. Anyway, there we are. These are our loose de Otono broad beans, autumn harvesting broad beans. Unfortunately, they're getting a bit of brown spot, a bit of rust on them, which is a shame. I think that's all the rain we've obviously had. But pods are forming. You can see there, pods are forming. Down here, there's a pod forming and it's got black fly on it. Another pod forming just there. I'm not sure if you can see. So this will be an interesting one. If we don't get harvest from these this year, I won't be growing them again. But yeah, clearly it's not cold enough for the black fly to stop coming out. Anyway, we'll see how these do over the coming weeks. I'd expect to be harvesting these in about 4 weeks' time. So let's see how they do. Hopefully the rust won't cause too much of an issue. And the black fly, if we get a bit of cold, maybe they'll die off. Okay. Bye. Good day. One of the things I've been meaning to do and had on my list for a while is tidying up this bed. There's quite a few things like here, this feverfew which has died back, so I'm going to cut that right back. Still cosmos coming there, which is great. The verbascum is putting on a second little blush of flowers. But there's also quite a lot like this in the middle, an umbellifer, which have gone to seed and their seeds have dropped. There's a poppy, I think you can see there. I'm going to take the poppy heads off. There's quite a few. Scatter some of the seeds and keep some of the other seeds. There's Phacelia in the middle here that has flowered and died back. But then there's other things like this cosmos is coming, need to deadhead. The marigolds are having another little flush. There's some borage coming up there, which is great. And right at the back, can you see that right in the middle? A little pink cosmos coming. So yeah, I'm going to weed it and get rid of any of the dead vegetation. And what I am taking off, anything that's dead, I'm going to put onto our dead hedge, because there may be insects on them and I don't want to put them into our compost bin. I'm getting right in the base. I'm just taking the dead bits off, leaving what's still growing. Seeds fall down while I'm doing that, no problem. There are some plants like this Allison that can just be pulled right out. Any seeds have already dropped. Then I'm just going in and giving things a weed. I'm not sure if you can see here, but there's some seeds that have fallen. This is also another seed. I think that's a California poppy. So I'm just going to leave those in. Really, it's just watching people and getting to know what are weeds and what aren't. This here is obviously a bit of grass that I don't want. This is a Aquilegia, doing exactly the same, cutting back the dead as far as possible. After about an hour of weeding and a little bit of strimming, we've got to this stage, which I'm really pleased about. So all of the dead poppies and other flowers and stems are now out, which obviously gives me a chance to actually see what's in the bed, and where I might be able to bring some of the flowers from the plot we vacated in October last year. But I'm really pleased that there is actually quite a lot of seed coming up. There's quite a lot of seedlings in this bed. Not quite sure what all of them are or if they're all good. But this is a feverfew that's also self-seeded. There is a white, tiny, not sure if you can see that, tiny white pansy there, which is self-seeded. These little ones at the front I put in. I'm really enjoying that bergamot. Yeah, and plenty of flower to come on this cosmos as well. So that's my job done for today. Been meaning to do it for quite a few weeks, so I'm glad that I finally have. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye. Good day. It's early Sunday morning, and the reason I'm in the polytunnel is because the sun is out. It's really bright, and if I was filming this outside, I really would be squinting quite badly. I don't like wearing sunglasses when I'm talking to you because there's a sort of disassociation, though sometimes if I really can't, I will do. But yeah, come in the poly and it's a little bit more shaded in here, so that's okay. But it's actually the reflection of the brightness of the clouds, because there's quite a lot of clouds, a lot of blue sky, but a lot of clouds. Today, or this morning, I'm going to spend about an hour now just having a look at everything. I've got my trusty notebook, so I'm going to be going around the plots, just making a note of things that need to be done. I do know that one of the jobs I'm going to be doing this coming week is removing all of the tomatoes that are in those grow bags. They've really got to the end of where they're going to grow to. I don't want the continual watering going on of those. So anything that's green will come off, and if it's going to ripen, it will just leave it on a windowsill to ripen. If we think it's not going to ripen, it will make a fantastic green tomato curry. So that's great. And of course, if we make that in batches, just like our roasted pasta sauce, that can go in the freezer as well, and that will give us meals over the winter months, which is terrific. You know, a speedy meal is always great. The rest, as I say, or I've just mentioned, the rest of those tomatoes are actually going to go into pasta sauce, or we will eat them fresh. At this time of year, having homemade toast with tomatoes on top and cheese on top and that grilled is an absolute delicacy. Yeah, so we'll certainly be having a few of those lunches over the coming week, as we have done over the past few weeks. The tomatoes in the bed here in front of me in the polytunnel, they went in about 3 weeks later. They sort of caught up, and they're now fruiting, and that's really great because that will extend our fresh tomatoes, let's say, for another fortnight, 3 weeks, as long as we don't get blight. There is a tiny bit of blight, or there was a tiny bit of blight down further, much further down on our site, though the person has dealt with it, so fingers crossed. But the other thing that I'm looking at is our bean canes. As you know, they're dying back. Many of them are dying back. Some we want to keep for seed saving or for stews and things like that. So what am I saying? The runner beans, we use the runner beans in chilies. So we'll be drying those or freezing them demi-sec for chilies. Others, like the Madeira maroon and the Canadian white, we are seed saving from those. Everything else that we have in there, we've either saved seed already, or they're all going to be dried and just go into a jumble of beans, which we will use in chilies. We will reconstitute, cook, and then use in chilies over the winter months. The reason I'm keen to get into the bean beds is that is where I'm going to be putting garlic and onions this year. What I'm going to try and do over the next few years is build up some type of rotation of things. Rotating crops is not something I do. Vivi does it absolutely stoically, and I love the fact that she knows exactly what's going to go in where each year. And I'd like to get to some type of state like that, where I know that this is this bed this year, therefore it's likely to be X bed for next year. So what I'm thinking of doing is, because we're still waiting for the runners and the Madeira maroon and the Canadian whites to go to seed, i.e. we want as many of those to go to seed as possible, I'm thinking about removing the other plants that are really dying back at the moment. what that will do is it will give me access to those beds. Because the thing is, with having bean arches like that, as we have, the TP long style bean arches, you don't have the opportunity to get into the middle and do the weeding that you would normally do. So I know that there's a bramble that has come up that needs to come out. There's some bindweed and cinquefoil in there that needs to come out. So by taking some of the beans away and some of the bean poles, potentially the bean poles away, that are not now going to either produce fruit beans or be necessary to hold beans up, I'll be able to get into that bed and do weeding, which means that when I plant our garlic and our onions in maybe 3 or 4 weeks time, I won't have so much work to do before I plant them. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So yeah, there's other things as well that I need to make notes of. I think I'm going to be moving some more of the lettuce that I have under our tomatoes just here into the raised bed where we sowed carrots the other week. It's about a week ago. I'll leave it another week or 10 days to see if any of those are germinating. If they're not, then I will be moving things, because I want to make sure we have as good a crop as lettuce for as long as possible outside and also inside in the polytunnel, because you saw me planting up the Marvel of Four Seasons and the Northern Queen and also the chicory last week. So yeah, it's a note-taking morning, and I'll be back this afternoon to start on those notes. I did quite a lot of strimming yesterday, which was really great. So the plot's looking a little bit tidier, so I'm feeling a little bit happier about that. I don't know where all those little frogs went. Turnip toad and tomato toad are still around, but a lot of those smaller frogs, or those are toads, a lot of the smaller frogs that were at the path between the beans and the turnips and the parsnips, they seem to have vanished. So they either have vanished of their own accord, or they may have been eaten, because I saw a snake skin yesterday that had been sloughed off the snake. So yeah, that will have been a grass snake. I'm absolutely sure it will have been a grass snake. We don't have adders around here, and it certainly wasn't a slow worm, which of course is not a snake anyway. So I think some of those may have gone for a different type of reptile meal. But hey ho, I mean, that's nature. The wonderful thing about trying to encourage nature onto your site and onto your plot in particular is that you do get to a point of balance. Sometimes you get really frustrated because you want to strim and you can't strim because there's lots of baby frogs. And then other times it's absolutely wonderful because you know that the amount of slugs that you've got and snails that you've got is reduced because you've got toads and frogs and also potentially snail and snakes that are eating those things. So yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm going to stop rambling, and I'm going to say goodbye, get on with what I'm doing. Little interruption then. So another plot holder came to ask me a question, and they're sort of on the other side of me here and can't see me in the polytunnel, but knew I was here. So said, when I finish talking, could they ask a question? So I will go and help them in a minute. So that's it. Thanks very much for today, watching today on Planet Vegetaria, if you're on Planet Vegetaria. If not, you are watching this on YouTube. The whole week of A Week at the Plot gets uploaded on a Monday to YouTube. So whether you're on Planet Vegetaria or YouTube, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.